Imagine a world where the collapse isn't a temporary phase, but a permanent reality. This is a scenario that isn't often addressed in typical prepping discussions. The common narrative in most prepping content usually ends with a rescue or a rebuild. A swift, severe crisis followed by a triumphant return to normalcy. But let's take a moment to consider the reality of long-term collapses throughout history. Think of war-torn regions, failed states, and areas suffering extended blackouts. The narrative in these instances is far from the popular prepping fantasy. Here the collapse isn't a brief chapter, but a prolonged saga. It isn't a storm to weather, but a climate to adapt to. In such scenarios, the real threat isn't a sudden end, but a constant struggle. It's not about surviving a momentary crisis, but enduring a never-ending collapse. It's a slow burn, a grind that tests not just your physical survival skills, but also your mental and emotional resilience. Sure, the idea of a quick, intense survival scenario may seem more dramatic and exciting, but the reality of a long-term collapse is far from glamorous. It's about waking up each day to face the same challenges, to battle the same fears, to confront the same hardships. The reality of surviving a prolonged collapse is not just about stockpiling food, water, and supplies. It's also about maintaining your physical health, your mental sanity, and your emotional well-being. It's about finding a reason to keep going when there's no end in sight. It's about adapting to a new normal, a new way of life. So let's change the narrative. Let's shift our focus from surviving a short-term crisis to enduring a long-term collapse. Because the real question we should be asking ourselves is not how to survive a momentary crisis, but how to endure a never-ending collapse. The real question is not how to prepare for the end, but how to prepare for a world that doesn't end. A world that keeps on collapsing day after day, month after month, year after year, and this is the brutal truth we need to face. The real question is not how to survive a momentary crisis, but how to endure a never-ending collapse. Surviving isn't just about the physical, it's also about the mental. In the aftermath of a collapse, the psychological effects can be just as devastating, if not more so, than the physical ones. The reality of long-term survival situations is not just about enduring physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Imagine a life without routine, where each day is a struggle for survival. There are no weekends to look forward to, no holidays to celebrate. Your world revolves around finding food, water, and shelter, and protecting yourself from potential threats. This lack of routine can be disorienting and exhausting, leading to a sense of hopelessness and despair. Alongside this, there's a lack of progress. Every day feels like a battle, and yet, you're not moving forward. You're not building towards anything, just surviving. This stagnant existence can wear you down, making you question the point of it all. This is a dangerous mindset to fall into, as it can lead to careless mistakes and risky decisions. And then there's the constant state of fear. Without a sense of safety, you're always on edge, always on alert. This chronic stress can take a toll on your mental health, leading to a condition we call survival depression. Survival depression is a real and serious issue in long-term survival situations. It's a state of chronic despair and hopelessness that can sap your will to survive. It's not something you can just snap out of. It requires active management and mental conditioning. The key to overcoming survival depression lies in creating structure in an unstructured world. Establishing a daily routine, setting small, achievable goals, and taking time for self-care can help bring a sense of normalcy and purpose to your life. It's also important to stay connected with others, whether that's your survival group or through maintaining a sense of community. Remember, the key to survival isn't just physical strength, but mental resilience. In the face of a never-ending collapse, it's not just about staying alive, but also about maintaining your will to live. Because when survival becomes a way of life, it's your mind, not your muscles, that will be your greatest asset. Your body is your most important tool for survival. But what happens when it starts to wear down? As the days turn into weeks and months, the physical toll of survival becomes evident. You're eating just enough to get by, sleep is a luxury, and your body is constantly on high alert. Muscle loss sets in as your body burns through its reserves to keep going. Your immune system is suppressed, making you more susceptible to illness. And injuries, they don't heal as quickly, if at all, especially when medicine becomes a distant memory. But don't despair, there are ways to combat this. You can maintain bodily function with limited food by choosing nutrient-dense options. Basic hygiene can keep illness at bay. And smart energy use, conserving your strength and taking rest when possible, can help your body endure. Maintaining your physical health is crucial in a never-ending collapse. You've stockpiled for a crisis. But what happens when the supplies run out? It's a question that tends to linger in the back of every prepper's mind. You've got your stash of canned goods, medical supplies, and survival gear. You've planned for 30, 60, maybe 90 days. But what if the crisis extends beyond that? What do you do when the stockpile dwindles and the realization sets in that it was never meant to last forever? In a long-term collapse, supply depletion becomes your new crisis. You've survived the initial chaos, but now you're staring at the brutal reality of an empty pantry. The canned goods are gone, the medical supplies are scarce, and your survival gear is worn and weary. This is the point where survival takes on a whole new meaning. It becomes about adaptation. But let's not despair. This is where your true survival skills come into play. It's time to transition from consumption to production. It's time to think beyond the confines of your stockpile and explore the world of sustainable living. Consider gardening. With the right knowledge and tools, you can grow a substantial amount of food in a relatively small space. Even in an urban environment, container gardening can provide a steady supply of fresh produce. Then there's foraging. Nature is a bountiful provider if you know where to look. Edible plants, berries, and nuts can supplement your diet, and hunting or fishing can provide much-needed protein. Don't forget about trading. In a post-collapse world, skills and goods become currency. Maybe you've got a knack for repairing things, or perhaps you've stockpiled seeds for your garden. These can be traded for other essentials. And finally, learn to stretch your gear. Care for your tools, repair your clothing, ration your supplies. Every bit of resourcefulness counts when you're playing the long game. In a never-ending collapse, adaptability is key. Your stockpile was a safety net, a buffer against the initial chaos, but it was never meant to last forever. Now it's time to shift gears and embrace the new reality of survival. A world where self-sufficiency, resourcefulness, and adaptability are your greatest assets. Survival is often a group effort, but what happens when your group changes or disappears? The reality is, in a long-term collapse, groups can fracture, people can succumb to the harsh conditions, and some might even abandon the cause. When the people you counted on are no longer there, it can feel like you've lost your anchor. This is when your psychological survival plan becomes a lifeline. Building mental resilience is key. It's about learning to rely on yourself, trusting your instincts, and keeping your morale high even when you're alone. Handling grief is another crucial aspect. It's important to allow yourself to mourn, to feel the loss, but also to keep moving forward. And let's not forget solo survival tactics. Learning how to stay safe, find food, and maintain your health when you're on your own can make a world of difference. In a world of constant change, your ability to adapt and remain resilient is crucial. In a world where every day looks the same, how do you keep your spirits up? Monotony and morale, the silent killers of a long-term survival situation, are often overlooked. It's not the action-packed, adrenaline-filled moments that break you. Instead, it's the endless days that blend into each other, where hopelessness and boredom start to seep in. Morale drops when life becomes a constant cycle of survival with no apparent end in sight. Boredom, a seemingly trivial concern, can become a significant problem, leading to complacency and mistakes. Keeping your mind sharp is essential for survival, but how do you achieve this when every day is a fight for survival? The answer lies in setting small goals and tasks for yourself. These goals can be as simple as improving your shelter or finding a new food source. Achieving these goals can give you a sense of progress and purpose, lifting your spirits and keeping you motivated. Entertainment and rituals, though they might seem frivolous in a survival situation, can also play a crucial role in maintaining morale. They provide a sense of normalcy and a break from the harsh reality of survival, helping to combat the effects of monotony. In a never-ending collapse, maintaining your morale is just as important as maintaining your physical health. Remember, survival is as much a mental game as it is a physical one. In a world that's constantly changing, how do you prepare? Here we are at the heart of the matter. Adaptation. When the collapse drags on, when the old rules no longer apply, what do? You evolve. The reality is, you can't plan for every twist and turn in a never-ending collapse. The threats you face will change. The strategies you've relied on will need to be rethought. The roles you and your group play will need to shift. This isn't just about prepping anymore. It's about living in survival mode, The key to this new reality is adaptability. It's about being flexible, about being open to new ideas, about being willing to learn and unlearn. It's about creativity, problem solving, and innovation. It's about finding new ways to use your gear, new ways to source food, new ways to stay safe. And it's not just about physical survival, it's about mental and emotional resilience. It's about finding ways to keep your spirits up, to maintain a sense of purpose, to stay connected with others. So, how do you cultivate this adaptability? You start by staying curious, by staying engaged with your environment, by staying open to new experiences, by staying connected with your community. In a never-ending collapse, the most adaptable are the ones who survive. Because in the end, adaptability isn't just a survival skill, it's a life skill. What if the end never comes? This is a haunting question that we all need to face. Life as we know it has collapsed and the world we once knew may never return. It's not a pleasant thought, but it's a reality we must accept. In the midst of this, we must remember that survival isn't just about waiting for rescue. It's about taking action. It's about creating a sustainable, long-term survival life. It's about making peace with the new normal, adapting to the changes, and finding a way to keep going. It's about learning to endure the hardships, to find strength in the face of adversity, and to keep moving forward no matter what. Because in a never-ending collapse, the only hope we have is the one we create for ourselves. So let's stop waiting and start surviving. In a never-ending collapse, survival isn't about waiting for rescue, it's about taking action.